likes private.
Why?
We think that, well, we want people to feel good about the experience that they have on Instagram. We want people to focus their energy on connecting with the people that they care about, on being inspired by fashion, food, travel, whatever it might be that inspires them. And likes are great. They're a lightweight form of feedback, but they can make the experience feel a bit tense. They can pressurize Instagram, and we want to depressurize it. And our hope is that people will feel a bit more comfortable on the platform and be able to focus a bit more of their energy on connecting with the people and the things that they love.
Adam, people live for the likes.
Yes.
We talked to a group of teenagers the other day, and when we mentioned that that was a possibility, I don't want to say they freaked out, but they freaked out.
Yes,
they said, I don't know if I want to use it anymore. The whole reason that we do it is because the likes make me feel better about myself, or the likes are important in my life. Are you worried or concerned that that will hurt your platform, taking away the likes?
A little.
Isn't part of the fun looking at the likes?
Well, you can still like in this current test. You just can't see the number of likes unless it's your own post.
We want you to see that I got X amount of likes on whatever it is I posted.
We will do things that mean people use Instagram less if we think that they keep people safe or generally create a healthier environment. And I think we have to be willing to do that.
Even though it could affect your bottom line.
100%. Will we do this one? It depends. We'll see if it works or not. But I'm really passionate about us being open to those types of changes.
What led you to that particular change? Because that's a big change.
It came out of the team. We've been focused on well-being broadly, like I said. It's our number one priority. We're people, too. We go home, we read the newspaper, we read news online, we get the criticism. And so the team that works on likes and comments was thinking, okay, how do I take some of those values, this focus on well-being, this focus on the nuance of people's experiences, and apply that to my day job? And so they just came up with this, and they said, hey, what do you think about this idea? And we were excited. We said, that sounds rad. I can't believe we never thought of that before. And so
You liked it right away when you heard it?
Yeah, it was audacious.
Yes, it was, yes, audacious. I love that word, yes.
Which is great. We should be thinking big. We need to evolve forward. The world is changing, and it's changing fast. What was great 5 years ago might not be great today. Maybe what was healthy 5 years ago isn't healthy today. We need to be willing to, as long as we stay true to our values and are careful about our responsibility, evolve as things evolve. So I was excited about it.
Nobody had to convince you?
I mean, no. I mean, they told me, and I said, great. Like I said, hopefully decisions come bottom up. Before we launch, I'll probably be involved. But right now, I hope they run with it.
Part of the other thing about Instagram, these young girls were telling us that they look at it and they don't feel good about themselves because they see what other... They told us this, Adam. They will take 50 pictures, 50 to 200 pictures to get one big picture.
Yeah.
Because they're so obsessed with looking perfect and looking good.
Yeah.
Do you do anything about photoshopping, or do you encourage photoshopping? Do you want them to use the platform that way?
We want people to express themselves, but we recognize that they're going to express themselves in different ways depending on who they're sharing with. People share a lot more in stories because it's a bit less pressurized. The feedback, the conversations that come from those stories are private. They're only around for 24 hours. And then they share even more in messaging. But yes, people edit their photos a lot. We think that can be good and that can be bad. We try to be really thoughtful about this. So for instance, for face filters, for instance, we have a bunch of rules about what we will and what we will not do. We won't distort the face unless it's like a fantastic, you make me into an astronaut or into an ogre or into, a bee. We try to avoid, distortions unless it's in those types of use cases.
I want to talk about the kids, the panel that we did the other day with these kids, ranging in age from 12 to 18.
Yeah, please.
The Instagram's recommendation is no one under the age of 13 should be using the platform, right? Well, all of these kids told us they all used it well before 13. How can you possibly regulate something like that?
It's tricky. What we're talking about here is how when a 12-and-a-half-year-old signs up for Instagram with an email address, how can we tell that they're 12 and a half and not 13?
Right.
And especially considering that in most of the world, 12 or 13-year-olds don't even have IDs. And in a lot of the world, even adults don't have IDs. We try to do a few different things, but obviously there's room to improve here. We make it easy to report someone as underage, even if you don't have an Instagram account. This is particularly important for parents, because sometimes parents don't have Instagram accounts. And then we do age review, and we will remove people if they are under 13. We also do age review for anybody involved with any piece of content that's reported for any reason, because we want to make sure, particularly around any safety areas, that we're ensuring that under 13-year-olds aren't on the platform. We're trying to develop technology to estimate people's age.
Yeah.
That's tricky, but there are things like, and here in the States, Sweet 16s are a thing. People say happy Sweet 16. We can identify that and try to understand if someone's 16. That's not perfect, but it will help us get better at enforcement.
You think 13's a good age?
I do.
You do?
I do.
There was a big case in the UK recently about a young woman who committed suicide, and her family blamed Instagram for that. I know you were very involved in that case. What do you want us to know about how that case was handled, about the death of Molly Russell?
Yeah, her name was Molly Russell. I mean, I think the key thing there was we were very focused on a specific problem within the space of self-harm, which is someone is in a really painful position. They're in immense amount of pain themselves, and they're reaching out for help. They're talking about their experience. How do we make sure that we don't stigmatize their experience and push them into an even darker or bad or worse place? That was our focus. I still worry about that. But our mistake was we were under-focused on the effects of sharing that type of self-harm content on people who might be in a different type of vulnerable position.
I saw mental health experts speaking up about it.
Yeah, and we talked to them. I've actually talked to many over the course of the year. And so now the question is, how do you balance those two things? How do you make sure that someone can share their story? Maybe they're 90 days clean, and they reach people who can share those experiences on Instagram, which is an important part of their own journey. How do we make sure that we make a place for that while we don't make it okay or normalize some of this behavior for people who might be vulnerable in a different way? And that's the balance that we're trying to find. And so I think we were off on our policies, and we've changed those. And then we've tried to also be much more thoughtful about how we implement those policies throughout the product, making sure that we don't have graphic imagery anywhere of self-harm, making sure that we don't recommend self-harm related content, whether or not it's graphic imagery, in places like Explore or accounts you should follow. So we've done a lot of work since then. I don't claim that we're done. We actually have a lot more work to do.
Yeah.
But I think we learned a lot from the experience.
Guess who